Hey everybody, welcome back to another fun and exciting Algebra 1 class. Today we are going to be talking about this is my favorite lesson in the whole book. And you're like, wow, Mr. Steve, you have a favorite lesson? Like you actually like this stuff? Well, yeah, I kind of like this one. This is a good lesson. Hopefully you'll like it too. It's a neat lesson. It's something different. You're not used to it, and I think you might enjoy it. We'll see. It's kind of one of those things. Once you conquer it, I mean, you're like, wow, I got it. I can do this. This is fun. This is cool. And so let's just kind of jump into it and see where we go. We're on page 188. 188. And what we're going to be doing today, it says right here, we are going to be multiplying binomials. Multiplying binomials. What's a binomial? Well, a binomial is something with two terms. So we have something like 3x plus 1. Okay, so that's one binomial. And now we're going to learn how to multiply it by another binomial, 3x plus 2, for example. Okay, those are two different binomials, and we're going to learn how to multiply those together. We've learned how to distribute, but we don't know how to do this yet. And so we're going to learn a technique today, and I think that you're going to enjoy this class. The technique that we'll be using is called FOIL. FOIL. F-O-I-L. FOIL. Um, you know, there's different types of foil. Like there's aluminum foil. Okay, when you wrap up your leftovers and put it in the refrigerator, you use aluminum foil. But we're not talking about that kind of foil. There's foil like where somebody's going to do something and you're going to foil their plans. You're going to spoil their plans. We're not talking about that kind of foil either. Okay, this is just uh, basically they're using the first letters of the words to spell another word. It's an acronym. And the acronym stands for these words underneath it. First, outer, inner, last. First, F. Outer, O. Inner, I. L is for last. Okay? So foil, first, outer, inner, last. Now, if you can remember that, if you can remember that word, and if you can remember these words right here, you're going to do well. You're going to do well because you're going to remember what steps to use. These are your steps. And right now you're like, I don't even know what any of that means. It's okay. We're going to do a few of these, and you're going to hopefully pretty quickly learn what those words mean and why we use the word foil to tell us what to do here. All right, so let's go down here to our first example. Our first example is, and I'll leave those words up there, first, outer, inner, last. Our first example is 6x plus y times 2x plus 2y. Now what we want to do is we want to start with the word first, and I'm going to do first in green, okay? And so we're going to take the first one from the first binomial times the first one from this binomial. So it's first times first. So that's why we use the word first, okay? And here's the way I'm going to draw it like this. I'm going to connect them with this little line like this. And this is how I want you to practice doing it. I'm not drawing that line on there for the fun of it, okay? I'm drawing that line on there because I want you to connect those two and then multiply and get your answer. So, first times first, 6x times 2x is going to give us 12x squared. 12, 6 times 2, x times x, x squared. Okay? Now, the next one that we're going to do, I'll circle this one in blue, is going to be the outers. And I'll go down with this one here. So the outers, what does that mean? The outside. So 6x is on the outside and 2y is on the outside. So we're taking the outsides now, the outers, and we're going to multiply them. Well, we get 6 times 6 again. So again, it's positive 12. X times y, what is that? Well, you can't multiply those, so it's just xy. There's nothing we can do there. Now, I'm going to, and for a reason that you'll see in just a second, I'm going to stay with the blue here, and we're going to do the outers and the inners both in blue. So now what does inner mean? Well, let's come down here and let's do these inside ones. So we just did the outside ones, okay? And now we're going to do the inside ones. Y times 2x. Well, what do we get when we multiply that? Well, that's a 1 out in front of there. So 1 times 2 is going to be a positive 2xy. Now, some of you might want to write that yx because the y comes first. But we don't write it yx. We write it xy. Why do we do it that way? Because it's alphabetical order. It's the right way to do it. Now, some of you might have already noticed why I wrote those in the same color, but I'm going to leave those for now. Maybe you can figure that out while I'm doing this next one. I'll do the next one in pink, and it is last. So we're going to take this last one and this last one. So the last one in the first one and the last one in the second one. And we're going to multiply those. 1 times 2 gives us a 2, and y times y gives us a y squared. Okay? So now, I told you I did this for a reason. I wrote those in the same color for a reason. Can you figure out why? Okay, let's look down here. I wrote down here, don't forget to combine like terms. Don't forget to combine like terms. What do I mean by that? Well, look at what we have right here in blue. We have 12xy and we have 2xy. Well, in algebra, we should always do what we can do. You're always solving what you can solve. Well, I can solve this because those are like terms. I can combine those like term. So here's the answer. This, I can't combine it with anything. See, this is different than this, so those don't combine. So I'm going to have 12x squared plus, and then I'm going to combine these. 12 plus 2 is 14 xy plus 2y squared. And that would be my answer right there. Okay? 12x squared plus 14xy plus 2y squared. That's kind of cool, right? It's like a little puzzle. You connect all those things together and it comes out. You in a way what you're doing, believe it or not, is you're kind of distributing. It's like a fancy way of distributing. And so yeah, let's do another one. Let's see how this one goes. Don't forget to combine like terms. I don't want to scroll past that without talking about that again. That is a super important thing right there that you need to remember. All right, here we go. Here's our next one. Let's do first, outer, inner. Well, I'm going to move those up a little bit so they don't get in my way. First, outer, inner, last. Okay, so I'm changing the colors just so you can see. One thing that you'll notice is pretty much every time that we do the O and the I, that you're going to be able to combine them. Now, not every time. There's certain instances where you can't combine them because they're not like terms. But most of the time you can. So let's do the first. What does that mean? Well, the first one here and the first one here. Okay, so we're going to combine the first. We're going to multiply the first. 1 times 3 is 3. X times x is x squared. The O, outers. So here's the outside one, and here's the outside one. So negative 2 times x is going to just give us negative 2x. Okay. The inners, 4 times 3x is going to give us a positive 12x. See, look, we got those things. They're the same term again. You're going to see that a lot. And then the last one is going to be the lasts. Whoop, almost went past that one. There we go. And so I have negative 2 times 4. That's going to give us negative 8. Negative 8. All right, so now what do we want to do? We want to just combine these real quick, and that'll be our answer. So 3x squared plus 10x, negative 2x plus 12x is going to be 10x minus 8. And there you go. There's your answer. All right, what do you think about that? Not too bad? All right, let's try one that you're going to go, whoa. All right, here we go. Check this one out. What about that, huh? That looks like fun. Yeah, everybody loves fractions. So let's do one with fractions. Okay, so I'm going to do first, outer, inner, last. So let's do the first, outer, inner, last. All right, so first, right there. Now, in this one, you can't really just look at it and say, oh, I know what that equals. Okay, you kind of got to think about it just a little bit. Let's actually write it out over here just so we can make sure we're on the same page. Okay, that's not a 9. It kind of looks like a 9. It's an A over 3. All right, so the numerator is going to give you A squared over the denominator is going to give you 12. A squared over 12. So that's our first one. A squared over 12. A squared over 12. Okay? We'll erase all this over here, and we'll just keep doing our problems over here so we can keep it straight. And let's do the next one. Outers. So we're going to do this one times this one. A over 4 times negative 3 over 4. 3 times A is going to give us 3A over 4 times 4 is going to be 16. And then we'll do the inners, and I'll erase this and we'll keep doing it over here. The inners are going to give us 1 over 4 times A over 3, and I'm going to get A on top, 1A, just A, over 12, plus A over 12. And then we're going to do the lasts. So these guys. And then we end up with 1/4 times negative 3/4. So we're going to get a negative 3 over 16. Negative 3 over 16. Now I want you to see something here. Okay? I want you to see something. Now this is interesting. Okay, so let's look at the like terms. Here's what we're looking at. In the denominators, we have a bunch of denominators that are just numbers. But that's not really what we want to look at. Why not? Because, okay, look at this. Let's say that I have, let me kind of get rid of this for a second. Let's say that I have 1 over 4 plus A over 4. Are those like terms? Can I combine those? The answer is no, you can't. Because the numerators are different. Just because the denominators are the same doesn't mean we can combine those. Here's the only thing that we could do on this. We could put 1 plus A over 4. We could do that. Okay, that's like combining those fractions, but we can't do anything with the numerator because we can't combine them. So what are we looking at when we are looking at these fractions? Here's what we're looking at. We're looking at the numerators. Do you see any numerators that are the same? I'll give you a hint. They're in the same color, okay? Look, these yellow guys, they both have A's, and they are like terms. So this one's not a like term, and this one's not a like term. So we're just going to bring those two down. We don't have to combine those. So it's going to be A squared over 12, and then there's going to be a negative 3 over 16. We can combine these ones though. Here's the problem. Their denominators are not equal, so we have a problem there. So now what are we going to do? Well, we're going to have to combine those using arithmetic. So let's do that. Let's kind of stack those up how we used to do those. So 3a over 16 plus, and that's actually negative 3a over 16, which makes it a little bit more complicated. Plus, actually, let me move this over here. Plus. So this is plus a positive, um, a over 12. Okay, so in algebra, what we have to do when we have a negative plus a positive, is we have to follow our rules. So what are our rules? Our rules are if the signs are the same, then we add as normal, but they're not. Their signs are different. So if the signs are different, we subtract and take the sign of the largest. So we're going to subtract instead of add, and we're going to take the sign of the largest. Which one's larger? Well, to be honest with you, we don't really know right now because we have one is in sixteenths and one is in twelfths. So it's going to be really hard to pick the bigger one right now. So in just a second, once we put them into common denominators, we will be able to see which one is bigger. So let's do that. All right. So how do we put it into a common denominator? Well, we say what is the LCD, the least common denominator? And that would be 48. How do we know that? Because 16 times 3 is 48 and 12 times 3 is 48. That's the first number, that's the smallest number that both of them go into evenly. Okay, so if I multiply the denominator by 3, I also have to multiply the numerator by 3 because I can't change the value in the numerator. So that's going to give me 9a in the numerator. And here in this second one, the numerator is going to be a times 3 is going to be 3a. Okay. All right, now we can look at it, and now we can tell which one's bigger. Because look, now I have 9a over 48, and now I have 3a over 48. Well, the 9a over 48 is bigger than the 3a over 48. So the negative is going to be the bigger one. So this one is going to be a negative. The answer is going to be negative. And now we would just subtract. 9 minus 3 is 6a over 48. 6a over 48. All right, so all that work basically to get us to where? This is our middle term. We had to combine our like terms, and we had to get that middle term. So 6a over 48, negative 6a over 48. All right, and that would be our answer. So really, the multiplication steps weren't very hard, but the combining of the like terms, the combining of these like terms was pretty challenging where we had to find a common denominator and all that stuff. So if you're still struggling with fractions, I'm begging you, please find some place, learn your fractions, understand how to add and subtract, how to get LCDs, how to reduce, how to, all that stuff. You need to know that. It's getting harder and harder. Now all of a sudden there's letters in your fractions, all right? And so it's going to be more and more challenging every day if you don't understand how to do fractions. All right. Well, if you will look over on the next page, page is number 190, you are going to see the most lovely page in the entire book. I love this page. 1 through 40. You have 40 practice problems there. You love that, right? Isn't that amazing? So you could just sit there and you could just work for like an hour if you wanted to, just doing FOIL. And so that would be a lot of fun. And if I imagine if you did them all and if you worked on them, then you would probably get pretty good at FOIL. And so there's 40 questions there for you to work on, lots of practice. Make sure that you practice this, okay? The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. All right, well, that's all I have for you. Hopefully you learned something. If you missed anything, go ahead and rewind that as you're doing the practice problems and see what you missed there so you can make sure that you're doing the practice problems correctly. If you have any questions, just drop them there in the comments. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.